Hello everyone and welcome to the part 6 of this MCP series. In our session today, we will learn how to build an MCP client and connect it with our MCP server. Prerequisites for the session is knowledge of MCP and how MCP clients work. Hence, if you do not know what Model Context Protocol is all about, what is an MCP client, and what are some of the client primitives, then please refer to this part 5 that I had created some time back. The URL is mentioned right here at the bottom. Now in today's lab, what we are going to do is we are going to build a client from scratch. But if you want to connect your client to an MCP server, then you will have to build the server first and then build the client. Hence, refer to the part 4 to build the server that you can use to connect to your client. The URL is mentioned right here at the bottom. It will also be mentioned in the description of this video. So if you want to build your server and you want to build your client and connect it to the server, that's when you need to build the server. My recommendation would be that you definitely do that. So first finish the lab to build the server and then come back over here to build the client. If you just want to build the client, you're more than welcome. Just continue further ahead. Scenario for our lab today. So what we are going to do is we are going to build an LLM-powered chatbot that connects to an MCP server to fetch the forecast and severe weather alerts using server tools. So our client is going to connect to an MCP server. This MCP server has two tools, get alerts and get forecast. And this client is going to connect to the server and get the required information. Now we will connect this MCP client to our MCP server using standard IO or stdio transport protocol. And the reason we are able to do that is because both the server and the client are running on the same machine. Hence, we can do that. Okay, so stdio is for local communication or inter-process communication between different processes. For example, your client and your server running on the same machine. Now go through part 4, that is build server, that guides you through the basics of building your first server that you can use and connect with your client. In my case, I have already built my server. My server is up and running as per the steps given in part 4. So my server is up and running, is ready to go, and I'm going to build an MCP client in this lab to connect to my server. So before we go and build our client, what we are going to do is, this is my server, right? So this is my weather server right here, as you can see. This is the server solution, the weather solution. If you have gone through the lab of creating a server, that is part 4, you already have this in place. You can redo this. It takes a very short time and then continue further ahead. In fact, this is my Visual Studio. And let me open folder, go to weather, select folder over here. And it is coming, and you will see that I have my solution right here. This is my solution explorer. Weather solution, I have my program CS. Okay, so this is my program CS right here. And this basically connects to api.weather.gov to get the weather alerts and the forecast. I have my weather.cs where I have my weather tools. These are the two tools that are exposed by the server, get alerts and get forecast. So my server is good, is available, and yes, it does compile as well. So let us quickly run the server. So .NET run, and you will see that this server runs pretty well. So our server is now up and running. And we are good to go ahead and build our MCP client that we can connect through this particular server. So I'm going to stop the server now, Control C, and bring this down. So now let's go back over here. So our scenario is clear. We have to build our client. Our server is up and running. So let's continue further ahead. So these are some of the reference URLs. So the first one is to download the first one is to download .NET SDK 8. Second one is to download VS Code. The third URL that we have over here, that is to download Anthropic's API key. And the last one is basically URL from Model Context Protocol documentation that we are going to use basically to create our client. So we are going to copy our source code from here. Please keep this fourth URL handy and open so that you can easily copy the code that is required to build an MCP client. Now, since my server is up and running and I'm using a VM over here, I already have .NET SDK 8 downloaded and installed. Of course, I have my VS Code. So these two steps are already done for me. If you're using your laptop or your desktop, then you're good to go. If not, for your environment setup, you can always provision an EC2 instance. That is exactly what I have done. I have provisioned an EC2 instance. This particular EC2 instance has Windows Server 2025 base running on it. It is a C5 extra large instance on AWS. Of course, if you have a similar setup on your laptop or desktop, you're most welcome to use that. For your client, you need .NET 8 SDK or higher VS Code. Have these downloaded and installed. Also have your C# dev extensions. And most importantly, check your version. So let me quickly check the version over here. So I'm going to copy this. Since it is the same VM that I used to build my server, my version should be correct. So it is 8 and above. So just ensure that your .NET SDK version is 8 and above. So essentially what we have done is we have completed our environment setup. In my case, I have completed these steps. These are the same steps that are required for your server setup as well. So if you have your server up and running, you can use the same VM. If you already have your lab set up on your laptop or your desktop, you can continue with the same setup. Step 2. Now we need to go ahead and create a directory for our MCP client. We are going to initialize a new C# project. This is going to be a console project. So I'm using C# because I am a C# developer. Now this particular documentation that we have over here, where is the document? This is the documentation. This is a URL that you need to keep handy. This documentation enables you to build your MCP client using Python, Node, Java, Kotlin, and C#. So you can use any language of your choice. Steps are pretty much the same. So we are going to create a C# console project. We are going to open a project and add our required dependencies. So let's do that. I'm basically going to copy the code from here, go back here, go to my VS Code. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to basically close this particular folder. I want to close this folder. I'm going to start a new terminal. And under my user, which is C:\users administrator, I'm going to create a new directory, MCP client. Okay, and I'm going to change my directory, cd MCP client. Oh, sorry, MCP client. And there we are. So CLS. So we have basically completed these two steps. Now let us create our C# console project for our client. So copy the code from here. Now I'm copying the code from my PowerPoint slide, but the same code is actually available over here as well, as you see. So if you want, you can copy the code from here. So I'm going to copy the code again, go back, paste it right there. So paste it. So it has basically created our .NET console project in this particular directory, and it is now going to change our directory to quick start client. So we have successfully changed our directories as well. The next thing that we need to do is add our dependency. So these are the dependencies that we need to add. But before we do that, we need to open our project. So go here and now say File, Open Folder, go to MCP Client, Quick Start Client. Okay. And I think, yeah, so we should open our Quick Start Client folder. So select folder. And this is where our project is. So our C# project is right here. We have a Solution Explorer as well. And this is a console project or a console application. So we have our program.cs. Now let us go back to our terminal. And remember, we have to add our dependencies. So let us copy our dependencies one at a time. So I'm going to copy these dependencies, Control C. So add your model context protocol package. So it's basically doing that. So it has added that, CLS. The next one that we have is our Anthropic SDK. So Control C. Hit enter, it will start installing this and adding a dependency. And then the next package that we have to add is Microsoft extension hosting. So CLS, just clear the screen, paste, add this particular package. And I think it got added successfully. So again, CLS, clear screen. And now the final package for a Microsoft extensions API. So Control C, go back, paste it right there. And we are good to go. So CLS. So we've installed all our dependency packages to our project. So these have been added successfully. Now let us go back and basically look at our PowerPoint. So we have completed this particular step. Now the next thing is to get an Anthropic API key. Okay, so this is what we need to do. So we need to go to this particular URL. This particular URL is part of your reference URLs right here. So console.anthropic.com. So go there and settings keys. We have to sign in over here. Now you might be required to sign in using your Gmail or your particular email, whatever you want to use to create your Anthropic account. We will have to create an API key over here for individual evaluation. This is purely for learning purposes. Remember to copy your key in a notepad. So after it is shown to you, it will not be shared again with you. Okay, so ensure that you copy and save it. And then we will add our key to our user secrets. So the important things to note over here is that the key will be displayed only once. So copy and save it. Now, unfortunately, Anthropic does not have a free tier. So I do not want anybody to spend money while you are learning. So what we will do is we will still go ahead and use this key, but we might not be able to make a successful server tool call, okay? Because it does not work for free. Now you are more than welcome to go and buy some credits if you like. But if you're doing this purely for learning purposes, I would not recommend that you buy those credits. The minimum amount to buy credits is $5. But I will leave the choice to you. We will simply just go ahead and build our client, and you will see that it will actually give you a message that the call cannot be completed because we do not have enough credits. But you will see that you'll be able to connect to your server. You'll be able to enlist all the tools. You will not be able to just get a successful tool call because unfortunately there is no free tier available, and I don't have a subscription for this. Okay, so let us go ahead and see how we can create this particular key. So I'm going to copy this from right here, go back and go here. And let's now go and sign into console.anthropic.com. As I said, it will ask you how you want to sign in. So I'm going to use my Google. So my Google account, this is my email. And it is doing MFA with me. So hopefully I get a verification. So yes, it is me. And I'm doing the verification successfully and continue further ahead. So this is how you go about logging into your Anthropic console. And now it actually tells you that, hey, you need to buy credits. Minimum is for $5. I'm not going to do that. If you want, you can do that, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. So my current balance is $0. So let's close this. And now, why did we come here? We came here because we wanted to create an API key. So we have finished these two steps. We've signed in. Now we are going to create an API key for individual evaluation. We are going to copy our key in a notepad and then add it to our secrets. So let's do that. So let's go back and get an API key. So you see you have API keys right here. Click on create key. So I'm going to say MCP client lab. This is the name that I'm going to give. You can give any name that you like and add. So it actually creates the key and it tells you to keep a record of the key below. You won't be able to view it again. So I'm going to copy this key. I'm going to go to Notepad. I'm going to paste the key right there. So, and basically save it. I'm going to say Anthropic key.txt. So AN key. You can give any name you like. This is our key. So copy it and save it. This is absolutely critical. Okay, and now we can close this. So close this. So we have basically copied our key and completed the step. Now what we need to do is we need to add our key to user secrets. So we are going to use these two particular steps to do that. So let me quickly copy them. So Control C and then go here. Again, go to my notepad, paste them right there. Now the first one is to initiate user secrets, but the second one is to add our secret. So copy your key and replace this particular parameter. Okay. So let us do this. So Control C, we are going to initiate our user secrets and go back over here. Let's do that. And now let us add this particular key. And we are going to call it Anthropic API key. So go back and add this. So it has been successfully saved and it has been added to our secret store. So we are good to go. Remember to just close this. I don't want to save it. I just want my key. So we are good. And we have essentially completed all of these steps. Now we need to build and run our client. So first, let us complete the basic client setup. We are going to open program CS. And over here, we are going to copy code from our reference URL, which is nothing else but model context protocols documentation that has the code to build the client. So we are going to copy code from our reference URL to create basic client class that reads the API key from our user secrets. So let us do that. So this is our Anthropic. Let me bring this down. In fact, I think I can close this as well. So if I can close this tab, that'll be good. So this is our documentation right here, right? So scroll down. And this is where we have the code for our basic client structure. Now remember, we have our client right here. This is our .NET console application. So go back, copy this code, and paste it right here in our program.cs. So what are we doing over here is we are basically creating a host, create host.create application builder. We're adding our environment, user, and adding our user secrets. So this is what we are doing to our host. Next, what we have is, after this, is we have to basically now set up our MCP client. So let us copy this piece of code and go back, paste it right there. And what we will see over here is, so oh, let's scroll up. So we already added this first. Now over here, what we are doing is we are actually creating a new std client transport object that we are calling it as client transport. This is our variable. And we need to basically change or replace the name of our server. Remember, the name of our server is weather. And we are adding command and arguments. Now over here, as part of MCP client factory, we are having an async call, basically sending this client transport object and basically calling or calling our MCP client list tools asynchronously to list all the server tools. So MCP client.list tools from our server. It is basically going to go in a loop. It is going to connect to our server and it is going to tell us what the server tools are. So these are the server tools that are available. So I hope till now it is clear, and it will be more clearer when we copy the next part of our program.cs. So this is that piece of code right here. So it is telling you add this function at the end of program.cs. So copy this function, go down and paste it right there. So now let us see what this function does. Okay. So we have reviewed until here. Now we have to look at this get command and arguments. So this is the same thing, I believe, that has been called over here, get command and arguments. So we have a command and arguments object that has been sent to our std client transport object. So remember, this is the name of our server, command and arguments. So what we are doing as part of this particular piece of code is we are basically looking for a directory as per the script, and we are looking for a CS project. And what we are doing is we're actually building a command over here. So .NET run project, and we are telling it not to build the project, but simply just run the project. Now, the reason why we can do this, why we can run our server from a client is because we are using stdio transport protocol. And that's exactly what we are telling the object right here, over here on the top, right? So we are doing get command and argument. So it's basically getting the command, it is getting the argument. The command basically will be .NET run project and build. So no build essentially. So it is going to basically tell that, hey, run this particular project, and that project is going to be our server project. So we are basically trying to run a server from here. And the reason why we are doing it is because of the stdio transport protocol. Remember, this particular protocol allows communication between two processes, in this case, our client and our server. Now, this can be a little confusing. So, if you have confusion, please post your comments. But all that we are doing in this particular function is creating that particular argument, that particular command to run our server. Okay, that's what we are trying to do over here. And then we are passing this to our std client transport object, which is a client transport. This is the name of the server. This is the command to run the server. These are the arguments. So that's what we are doing. And essentially after that, we are taking this client transport object or variable, sending it to MCP client factory in an async manner. And what it is going to do is, behind the scenes, it is going to run the server, not build the server, run the server, and basically connect to this particular server, get the list of tools asynchronously, and then run a loop over here to basically list all the tools that are exposed by this particular server. So you see tool.name, so connected to the server with tools, and this is the tool.name. So that is what we are doing. And the reason why we can do that is because we are using stdio protocol, and hence it allows inter-process communication between this server and this particular client. So we have a server and a client running on the same machine. So we have essentially copied this part. So we have completed these steps all the way until here. So create the command to run the server. Okay, so now let us go back and look at what else we have. So now this creates a client that will connect to the server as provided in the command line argument and list all the available tools. We have completed this. Now what we need to do is we need to add the logic to do the required processing and handle any tool calls. So this is the logic for that. So this is completely logical. As you see, there is Anthropic client. We are creating a client. We are basically sending chat options, number of tokens, the model ID, the tool that we want to call, the server tool. Okay. And these are some other console, foreground colors, etc. And the rest of the logic is mentioned right here at the bottom. So let us go ahead and simply copy this piece of code, go back and paste that right here. So we have pasted everything over here successfully, which is good. So Control S. Again, go back, scroll down, and then we have the explanation coming in over here. So essentially what we have done is we have copied all the code that is required to build this client. And this client is going to call our server, connect to our server, is going to list all the tools that the server exposes. And then it is going to ask us what we want to do, like a server tool call. So that's all that we have done over here. We are Anthropic client as well. And essentially we will continue further ahead. Okay, so hopefully this is clear. Remember that we are sending an Anthropic key to our Anthropic client. This is, of course, a must because that is what is going to do our authentication. So now I believe it is time to run the server. So this is the command to run the server. Sorry, run the client. My apologies. So run the client passing the path to our server. So let me copy this and we will have to build this command. So let me copy it over here, paste it right there. So we have .NET run and then the path to our server. So let me go back. This is the path to our server. So copy this, put it right there. Control B. I'm just going to put it like that. I think it had CS prod. So I should probably copy this one. Where is it? And copy path and go back here. Paste it right there. Okay. So we are good. We are good. So now let us run a client. And what we are going to do is we are going to pass the path for our server. So go back here. And I'm going to bring this up. Ensure that you save your code. And now over here, we are going to try and run this particular client. So this is our client and we are passing the path of our server. Hit enter. Okay, so now it is telling me the type and the namespace transport does not exist. Okay, so we have a bug in the code that we have copied. Press scroll up, remove transport. Okay. Well, I mean, we have actually copied the code from its official documentation, but it seems that, hey, transport is not available. So again, clear this and hit enter. So now you see that we have connected to a server. It is basically telling you that the client has connected to the server and these are the two alerts. So the two tools that we have, get forecast and get alerts. So the client has started, it is connected to the server and two server tools are available. Now it is basically telling you to either give a command or just exit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a command. So what is the temperature? Temperature. Okay, I can't spell temperature today. In NYC. So this is the command that I am going to give. So, and hit enter. Now, this was the exception that I was talking about earlier. Your credit balance is too low to access this Anthropic API. Please go to plans billing to upgrade or purchase your credits, and it will actually mandate you and require to purchase the credits if you want to use the Anthropic API and the API key. There is absolutely no free version at all. Okay, so I will leave it to you whether you want to purchase it or not. If you're doing this for learning purposes, I would recommend that you don't purchase the credits. In fact, if you see over here, our client is up and running. Our client has successfully connected to the server and it has actually even enlisted the tools that are available with our server. So our client has started successfully. It has connected to a server successfully. It has also enlisted the tools. So essentially your client and your server, both of them are working. So this is a solid proof. If you want to still go ahead, purchase the credits to see if your server can get the weather information and the API information, you're more than welcome to do that. If not, you can stop over here. You don't need to purchase those credits and unnecessarily waste your money. Okay, I don't like to waste money like that because I'm learning over here. And so are you learning along with me. So let me go back and go here. And this is the last step. And we have basically successfully built and ran our client and also connected it with our server. Okay, so we have kind of completed this lab successfully. So I hope that this lab was helpful. Do post your comments. It can become a little complex. I don't blame you. Just go back, look at all the previous episodes. Go step by step. Okay, it took me a while as well to understand and learn this. And the only reason that you can basically run your server from your client is because of stdio. Okay, that's the transport protocol that we are using between the client and the server. And this particular protocol allows communication between two processes. And also that is possible because your client and your server are running on the same machine. So with that, this is it from me today. Do post your comments and I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.